This is the Ford Bronco Raptor. It's in the shadow black exterior. It's the Luxe package. It's got the Beadlock Capable Wheels, the interior carbon fiber package, and pretty much everything else you could want inside of the Bronco Raptor. The fender flares sit fairly high, and that's for a few reasons. You've got different suspension, which we'll touch on in just a second, but it's also to support these ridiculous 37-inch tires. And tires, because of how big these things are, give the Bronco Raptor amazing ground clearance, like your 13.1 inch max ground clearance and maximum 37-inch water fording capabilities inside of this thing too. So if your plan is to take it off-road, go places where it's gonna get a little bit wet, you're covered off there. And like even still, if you're going places where you need that underbody protection, you will find it inside of the Bronco Raptor. You've got a series of different parts underneath that do have steel bash plates that's going to be standard inside of the Raptor trim. The wheels inside of this are a little bit unique. And the reason why is because it's the Beadlock Capable wheel instead. So there are two different options for the wheel from the factory, either Beadlock Capable or non-Beadlock Capable. It's gonna be a matter of preference, but if you are taking it off-road, having the Beadlock Capable is going to help you air your tires down so that the tire doesn't slip off. This thing is the HOSS 4.0 system, Fox Live Valve 3.1 as well, so it just leads to incredible off-road performance. When you get outside of the Bronco and you see the front end, it is just so different inside of the Raptor compared to every other trim level of the Bronco. You've got unique headlamps there, Ford logo in the middle of the grille rather than the traditional Bronco lettering that you'd find, two front tow hooks, along with some steel bash plates. Oh yeah. Now a few other things just base technology wise. So I mean, your basic modular bumper there. This thing does have the forward sensing system. And then there are some rigid LED fogs down below. Underneath the hood of the Bronco Raptor, so just in between the O and the R in Ford, gonna go off to the left, and and this is the first time I've actually seen underneath the hood of the Raptor, and I gotta say, damn, 3-liter turbocharged engine. When you use premium fuel, this thing is gonna push out 418 horsepower and 440 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty damn respectable. Now, you don't technically need to use that premium fuel like a 91 octane. You can get away with just regular 87, which we'll touch on in a second, but the power output inside of this 3-liter turbo is ridiculous, especially when you compare it to the 2.7-liter engine. The Bronco, you've got 3 different engine choices that are available. It's either a 2.3-liter, which is available as a 7-speed manual or a 10-speed auto. There's the 2.7-liter, which is strictly a 10-speed auto. And then this 3-liter turbocharged engine, which is same thing, just a 10-speed automatic transmission. You're doing some things yourself. You can easily top up fluids, changing oil, a little bit tricky along the side. There is easy access to the battery though if you need it. One nice thing is that you do have Ford roadside assistance as part of the Ford warranty. And the warranty inside of this thing is pretty solid. Like you're looking at a 3-year, 36,000 mile or 60,000 kilometer for your basic. And then powertrain is a 5-year, 60,000 mile or 100,000 kilometers, which is pretty respectable. And then Ford roadside assistance, like I said, is available there. Same terms as the powertrain warranty. So it's useful because if you need winching, if you need fuel delivery, tire changing services, and a number of other things, Ford does have you covered. Wherever you are, check Facebook, find local Bronco groups because you're gonna meet amazing like-minded people. And in case you get into circumstances where you need towing, winching, and whatever the case may be that's off-road, people can help out, but they do coffee meetups and car meetups. So it's a really good social aspect, owning a Bronco and being part of one of those clubs. But I'll link down in the description of the video to the Ontario Bronco Club if you wanna check them out. Filling up fuel inside of the Raptor, slightly different than the regular Bronco lineup, just the way that the door's cut and the way that it's sitting. It's kind of neat just because of the way that the fender flare sits up and how high the clearance is, but it's still just along the driver's side and you've got all of the regular Bronco highlights. So all of the Broncos throughout the years along the side there. It is still a capless system and regular 87 gas is technically the minimum manufacturer's recommendation, but and a big but, especially in the big butts, especially in the 3-liter turbocharged engine. You definitely want to make sure that you're at least using like an 89 or a 91 because the horsepower and torque specs that we were looking at under the hood are all achieved using a 94 octane. So If you use an 87, the engine will be fine. Fuel mapping can handle it. But if you want the best possible performance out of your ride, you want to at least use like an 89 or a 91. If you can find the 94 and you've got the budget for it, try a few fuel cycles. You'd be surprised at how much more power output you get and you feel inside of that higher octane fuel instead. The fender flares inside of this thing they're unique. The lights along the back look sharp. There's a Raptor badge along the bottom left-hand side of the door. This thing also does have 2 rear tow hooks, and then towing capability is here. So there's the 7 and the 4 pin, as well as your Class 2 receiver. Inside of the regular Broncos, you're maxing out at 3,500 pound towing capacity. Inside of the Raptor, you're maxing out at 4,500 pound towing capacity. So you're pulling a boat, trailer, whatever the case may be, you're pretty much more than covered off inside of the Raptor, which is amazing. But technology-wise, there's quite a bit back here. Reverse sensing systems there. This thing also does have the intelligent access. So along the door, you can push the button there as long as you've got the key fob to lock, and you can also slide your hand in order to open up. Beastly. Beastly. Love it. Oh, this is great. And there's so much stuff back here too. So you've got, well, not so much, but you've got your bag, your door, all your bags for your doors, left, right side. It's good. And then you've also got, I love it, the like bucking Bronco for the actual cargo mat itself. Off to the right, there's a Bronco light and then a 12-volt power point. And then you've got a woofer back here too. And that's because this is the upgraded audio system, which, I mean, sounds so good. But underneath the mat here, you can lift up. And then you've also got your 4 tie downs. So there's 2 in the very back, 2 a little bit further up. And then there's also a little part that you can lift up. Tiny little bit of storage there, but you've got the white spigot. So if you ever need to fill up using a jerry can, make sure you insert that spigot first. And then there's also the jack. Ugh. I could reach the second row seats from the back, but if you needed to, you can go just along the side, make sure that the door is unlocked. And then right along the top, you've got a release. You may need to fold down the headrest. And as you can see there, like there is a boatload of cargo space inside of the Bronco, which is great. And the measurements that I look at specifically for the depth of the vehicle, it goes based off of where the door would shut. And then the length behind the second is the cutoff of the second row armrest. So just behind that. So if your seats are moved up a little bit further, they're moved back a little bit more, it's gonna be plus or minus a couple inches, just depending on how far you've got those seats slid forward. And there's so many small highlights. I just noticed this one too. Ford Performance along the bar in the back here too, which is nice. You've got nice light there. Along the side mounted camera as well, part of that 360 camera. There's also a little light under there. Blind spot monitoring system is there, and these things are heated. Along the side, intelligent access. You can press there to lock, slide your hand in order to be able to unlock. But look at this. Beautiful. So some basics along the door there. You've got just your handle, unlock lock button, and then a little bit of storage there as well. And honestly, just because these things are fully removable, that's why there's not too much there. But you can easily lift up in order to remove the doors. Along the side, Bronco handle with carbon fiber insert. So this is not standard inside of the Raptor. The carbon fiber is optional inside of it. Moving down, series of switches so you can toggle on your side view mirror lights, figure out what's going on with your running lamps, turn your fog lamps on or off, increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. There's the electronic parking brake, and then the hood release on top of that. This one, you've got your factory liner there, so Raptor liner specific for the first row, along for the second row seats. It's got all the seats though. Look at that. Beautiful. Two-tone stitching in the seat itself. Nice Raptor badge along the middle. Really nice feel to the seat. I like it. And then because you're in the Raptor, you do have power seats, so you can go forwards, backwards, up and down with the seat. Adjust the backrest, and then it's two-way lumbar support as well. But like even the small highlight, like I love it. Ford Performance highlight there, and then Raptor, really solid ride. This is beautiful. The interior inside of this thing is really good. I love the seats inside of the Raptor. Four-way adjustable, so you can go forwards, backwards with it, up and down as well to create that perfect position. And oh yeah, this is nice. And like spacing wise inside of it, like I love how much space you're gonna find inside of the Bronco in general, but in this thing, like, oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. That's more like it. So at the very most there, I'm like 4.5, 5-ish inches of headspace with the seat as far back and as far down as, okay, it's going back even more with the seat as far back and as far down as it's going to go. Yeah, because you've got this little bar right in the middle there. But if you're taller and you typically have the seat a bit further forward, you might luck out with it forward a bit, 6-ish inches of headspace. But I mean, there is plenty of space inside of this thing. Beautiful. Beautiful. Steering wheel inside of this thing. Absolutely amazing. But I love it. Like, look at all of the simple highlights there. Red stitching all the way throughout, down below. This one does have the carbon fiber package, which gives you that lower part of the steering wheel wrapped in fiber. And that runs all the way throughout the top and along the steering wheel. So good. Now these are the buttons for the adaptive cruise control system. Increase, decrease volume. Along this side, basics of moving through the cluster screen. Answer, hang up on a phone call. There's a voice command prompt, and then change songs or radio stations. But one thing that makes the Raptor a little bit more unique is that it's got a few extra buttons along the very bottom. So the one here lets you go through and adjust to different modes. So you've got different steering modes there. So there's normal mode, comfort, and then sport. And the idea there, that's essentially going to be the throw for the steering wheel. So when you're in normal mode, it's just going to be like basic. Comfort means that you've got to throw it a little bit more to rotate the wheel. And then sport stiffens things up. There's a Raptor specific button, and you can see what's going on with your mode. And then if you want to, you can do a press and hold there in order to enter your individual mode. Along the right side, you've got two other buttons. So this one is your damper control. So you've got your normal, sport versus off-road, and that's going to change the dynamics of the suspension. And then there's another one for the exhaust mode. So there are 4 individual modes, very similar to what you're going to find inside of the Ford Mustang. So really cool that you've got that available, but let's hop outside and I'll show you how that works. So that is really, really nice. And then you can also customize the look of the cluster screen a tiny little bit. And that's all done using these buttons along the side there. So as you go up and down, you're essentially in your My View setting there. And that gives you a few other options. So you've got your trip counter, there's Raptor status, so you can see what drive modes you're in, whether or not traction stability controls turned on, turned off, what's going on with everything. And then you've got the flexibility of hitting OK, and you can add and remove screens. So trip counters, Raptor status, if you want pitch and roll, things like that. And let's go through and actually add on performance there too. And then when you jump back, that's going to give you a few extras. You can see there are some added options that are available now. So you drop down, and this is a performance view, but watch this. Bam! Look at how good that looks. So along the side there, you've got all of your different gauges. You've got what gear you're currently in, what modes you're in along the very bottom. I love that. So good. What speed you're going, everything that's going on with the vehicle itself. So if you had different if you have different disconnects going, watch this. So you can see there, rear disconnect, on, off. If you have trail turn assist, that's going to show you, etc. So certain things like trail turn assist, etc., just aren't available in different modes. But I mean, I love the look of that. So good. And then you've got your trip counter, Raptor status, pitch and roll, off-road status. So you can see as you rotate the wheel what's going on with your steering angle and things like that. Nice. Back down to your gauge view. You can choose gauges. Ooh, and then these things, you can kind of see that it's got like a black line through. And that's because you're only allowed a maximum of 4 gauges. So you can kind of adjust this out if you want to and put on any of these other options. So you'd essentially just have to deselect. So let's say if you didn't care about the transmission temperature, but you did want to have, I don't know, maybe your air-fuel ratio, you could adjust it that way instead. So you've got different options for gauges. So you've got some choices there. Series of other hero buttons along the very top. So stabilizer disconnect. So you have to be in 4 high or 4 low to do that. You've got your locking differentials that are available, front versus rear as well, which is useful. Trail turn assist. And what this one does is it's going to lock up the innermost rear wheel. So if you're on a trail, you're going left, right, whatever the case may be, it's going to lock up that innermost rear wheel. And the big benefit there, it helps you pivot left and right a little bit easier. You've got traction control, 4-way blinkers on top of that. With this, push button start, nice little highlight. And then this is the Sync 4 media screen that you're going to find inside of the Bronco. So the Bronco technically has 2 different options, but inside of the Raptor, you're always looking at this bigger option instead. Got options for AM, FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth. If you had a USB stick with MP3s on it, you could also plug it in. And actually, we're gonna do an audio test right now because this one is the Luxe package. So we're looking at 10 speakers total inside of it. So in the Bronco in general, it's either going to be a 7 or a 10 speaker system. This is the 10. So let's have a little bit of fun. We'll tweak the sources out, and this is just coming right from audio. So there's nothing done afterwards. It's right from the microphone that I'm using here. Starting low, going high.
You're some good, some floating you. Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day.
Right, and that was literally at half volume. If you crank the bass by like 3 points and drop the treble down by like 2, it's usually really good audio. Through the screen, you can easily add in a phone for Bluetooth connections. It does have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You don't need to be connected to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. You can strictly go over Bluetooth if you want. This thing has factory navigation. Nice and responsive, full screen, pinch to zoom capabilities, which is great. Basic app screen. Series of different settings that are available inside of this thing. Like there are a ton of useful ones. Some vehicle settings that are available. So some useful ones like remote open. So you can use the key fob in order to open up the windows, which is great. I can't do it on this one because the windows were literally just tinted, unfortunately. Lighting that's available, so you can have your auto high beams and things like that. Then a series of different features, so driver assistant settings, zone lighting, but useful. And then if I remember correctly, I think that might be it. Nice. Different options for your pages there, so you can go off-road status, zone lighting, navigation, phone, trips, and things like that. So let's actually go off-road status right now. Yeah, so you can see what angle your steering wheel's at and what angle the vehicle's sitting at. If you've got anything disconnected, etc. Nice. This is really cool. Looks really, really nice. Sweet. But down the center stack here, you've got volume rocker, tuning rocker. This thing does have a full 360 camera, so you can see there, full 360 view, front view. You could also go front partial view or front 180 view. And then if you're in reverse, it switches out to different views. So you've got that 360 view with a backup, full screen, backup 180, or back to your 360 mode there instead. Really useful. Moving down, auto start stop, basic controls for your audio, dual zone climate control inside of this thing. Series of other climate control settings. So do you want it going to windshield face feet, some sort of combination, heated steering wheel button, first row heated seats, and then dropping down, 2 power points that I pointed out. So USB Type-C, USB-A. This thing does have a wireless charge pad. It's going to be standard. There also is, oh, I love that, Ford Performance. Looks solid. Oh, even the handle there. Hold on, side view so you can see it, but there is carbon fiber right along the handle there as well. A little bit along the side, so nice highlights there. It's good. Shifter inside of this thing feels really, really good. Typical bucking Bronco in the middle, but with the carbon fiber instead that looks sharp. Love it. Park, reverse, neutral, drive, manual mode you can drop into, and then you're just using your paddle shifters at that point. You technically don't need to be in the manual mode to use them though. A few cup holders there. Little key fob, nothing special or unique about it. Oh wait, oh, Raptor. I wasn't sure, but yes, sure enough. Inside of the key fob itself, so front end is typical Ford styling, but back end, Raptor specific. Nice. A few cup holders there. And then there's also, I love that rotary shifter instead. So it's red obviously because of the Raptor side, but you've got 2 high, 4 auto, and 4 low. The basics there is that 2 high you want to be in most of the time. 4 high is if it's slippery conditions, snowy conditions, things like that. 4 auto if you're kind of flipping back and forth between like snowy conditions, dry roads, and things like that. And then 4 low for aggressive rock crawling, off-roading, if you're towing a boat out of water, things like that. And then this one is going to be your trail assist. So what that means is that with the trail assist turned on, it's one pedal driving. So rather than having to worry about the brake, you only worry about the accelerator. But the second your foot's off the accelerator, your vehicle's going to brake. It's a pretty useful one. And then there are a series of selectable drive modes as you move through. But look at this. So good. And I love the graphic inside of this thing, like Raptor specific. But damn, does that look good. Hold on, I'm gonna just go through each mode. Sport mode holds on to the RPMs a little bit longer to give you a sportier performance. Switching out just to your base normal mode. Off-road, same idea, they're going to play with traction, stability control, shifting out into 4 high instead. Moving into, you've got Baja mode, and same thing. So you see there, locked out a differential, played with our traction, stability control, and things like that. And then moving back into rock crawl mode. There we go. So you've got to go 4 low in order to get into that. So if you wanted to go into that mode, you just literally switch into neutral. Boom. Shifting automatically for us. Stability bar disconnected. You can see that. Advanced track is off because we're in 4 low. And then taking a peek along the top there, you can see things were automatically disconnected by jumping into that mode. But look at that cluster screen. Damn, that looks nice. All right, and let's shoot across. Go back into normal and see what happens. Actually, I gotta go sport mode. Sport mode on the way back to the dealership. Nice. Love it. And you can see there, it's shifted automatically into 2 high, and then it automatically disabled everything else there. So stability bar disconnect and things like that. But that, beautiful. Love it. Along the side, so typical Bronco styling. You've got the controls for your side view mirrors, basic window controls, kill off power to the windows. You can lock out the glove box if you want to, and then open it up. And there's a removable tray, and then a little 12-volt power point in there as well, actually. That tray should be like that. There we go. Then 12-volt power point just in the back there. This thing, nice little Raptor graphic along the side there on top of that, which is kind of nice. Feels premium, I love it, but I honestly love the seats too. Look at that. Raptor graphic. Up overhead. This thing has the auto-dimming rear view mirror, all of your controls for your cabin lights, auxiliary switches. So you're programming in whatever you want to. So I've seen dash cams plugged in and programmed into this thing. You've got winches if you want to get that, if you want to go that route, light bars along the front there. So many things. From there, you've also got garage door opener built in, little business card holder, vanity mirror with lights, and this thing extends out. Oh, nice. Gets most of the sun there. The seat right now is set up for the way that I would typically drive it, being 6 feet tall. And because this is the full 4-door Bronco, there is a boatload of second row space. Like, I've got a great amount of foot space, great amount of knee space. And up overhead, sitting fully upright, 3.5-ish inches of headspace. A little over 3.5 inches of headspace there, which is great. Second row seat's pretty good. A little wiggle test. Not too shabby at all. The handles to get into the first row, carbon fiber wrapped when you get the interior package, but the handle in the second row is just your traditional Bronco handle instead. Behind the driver passenger seat in the first row, there are some mesh pockets. Just behind the armrest for the first row, you're going to find controls for your windows in the second row, series of different power points. So there's another USB-C, USB Type A, and then there's also 400 watt wall outlet back there, which is great. Bucking Bronco for the flooring itself. And like this thing in the middle, it is going to be, there's a hump in the middle there as well. So 3 full-size versions of me would be very tricky for the second row of this thing. But if you've got kids, anchor points are there. You've got top tether points and things like that as well. Basic cup holders there. Very similar to the rest of the Bronco lineup. This thing is a beast though. So like I've been in multiple F-150s before and it's like it sits super high. I've been in Broncos before too, but it's just the height of this thing that is just mind-blowing. It's wild. And it makes sense. It's like 14 plus inch ground clearance, 37 inch water fording inside of this thing too. It's actually kind of ridiculous. There was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer ends up getting a Camionero, and it honestly, like, this is exactly how I would imagine he would feel driving that thing. A Camionero, yeehaw! And I'm just like on regular streets even too. And I can only imagine taking this thing off-road, how amazing it would be. One thing, so I actually did notice it in other Bronco videos that I've done before, but I've noticed it like in this one a little bit more, maybe because I'm like actively looking, but rear view visibility is a little tricky inside of this thing. So you can still kind of see behind me, but it's like, it's a little bit funky looking behind me right now just because of the way that the tire itself sits and how high it is. So it's funny, there's a car, what SUV, it's not even like a sedan, it's a car. No, it's an SUV that's behind me. And the SUV that's behind me, I can barely even see it. It's wide. That's the other thing, is because of the size of the fender flares inside of this, it is a very wide vehicle. Should get a big butt. Yeah, it's eye-catching. That's like one thing. If you want a car that's like head turning and like eye-catching, the Raptor is definitely gonna do it. Like so many people, you can tell people that like cars, even people that don't, were like head turning as I'm driving by in this thing. And that was a look at the Ford Bronco Raptor, and this thing is an absolute monster. Still technically available through Yorkdale Ford in Toronto, so I'll leave their contact information down below. But you can also find a build link for this specific one, tech walkthroughs for everything you can find inside, and a series of other videos down there too. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and until I see you next time, take care.